The Marlins are on the cusp of history. Yes, the Marlins potentially this evening can make MLB history with perhaps their 70th player representing the big league club this season, currently tied on 69 with the Mariners. But all indications are the Marlins are going to break that record. And could it be a British arm that breaks that record? Michael Petersen has been called up by the Marlins. He is British born. Could it be that we have a new UK GOAT? Tons to get into on a Thursday. Locked on Marlins.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings from England and welcome to Locked On Marlins, your daily Marlins pod. I am your host, Peter Pratt. Hit me up, of course, at Miami Marlins _ UK. Thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. This is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and it's your team every day. And there is a YouTube channel, so hit subscribe over on the YouTube channel and join me there. Join me in the comments. Let me know who is going to be the guy that breaks this record. Is it British born Michael Petersen? The Marlins about to make history. Not quite the level of history we're expecting, but nevertheless, it's still historical milestone here for the Fish. Delighted to welcome onto the show. It's been a few years. Yes, you heard that correct. A few years. Nick Alvarez joins me. Nick, how we doing, brother?
Hey, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling pumped. Like all of a sudden, there's some more skin in this game for me personally and for all the UK Marlins fans. Like all of a sudden, there's a bit of extra juice headed into this Nat series where like we've got a Brit on the roster and I don't know, makes me feel different. So yeah, I'm feeling pumped.
Yeah, good. I mean, considering the Marlins season and how it hasn't really gone as we all hoped it would, having this little piece of history, even though it's kind of ironically sad, but it's also cool at the same time. I think it will be a nice story if he's able to play.
We're looking for any stories at this point, Nick. I mean, we're running thin on stories, and this is definitely one. Tons to get into. The agenda for those watching on YouTube. The agenda is packed. Considering it's Thursday, the 12th of September, in advance of a Nat series, it's surprisingly packed. Nevertheless, this episode is sponsored by our good friends over at PrizePicks. And you can go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB, to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Nick, let's start with, kind of where you lent into there. I just wanted to get your sense. We haven't spoken on the show for a couple of years. It's been a tough year as a Marlins fan base, etc. Just if you can, just give me your sense of like, where's your head at this point as a Marlins fan? And, how quick is this rebuild going to kind of show some signs of life here for the Marlins?
Well, at first, I was going through, I guess, the 5 stages of grief,
No doubt.
as far as the team goes. At first you're betrayed, you're angry, you're basically saying, screw this team, I don't want to watch them ever again. Yeah. And I did that for a couple of weeks, and I was like, all right, I'll tune back in. They're still my team, And as the season progressed and we still got worse, I was trying to find the nice stuff that was going on in between, the wins and losses, because, that's all you can do when you're like over 30 games under 500. Mm-hmm. So, just and then also having to say goodbye to some players that you like, some players you followed for quite a long time, especially like Jazz Chisholm, Trevor Rogers, AJ Pollock, of course, Luis Ariz. It's just been a whirlwind, really. But at the same time, I'm still going to support the guys. And now with all the new prospects and players we've acquired over the year, I'm starting to see Peter Bendix's vision, and I'm hoping that, next season we'll be able to see some of these guys come up and produce.
feel like your experience is almost identical to mine, frankly. And actually, I think a lot of Marlins fans listening into the show right now, it should only be Marlins fans predominantly, but the guys listening to the show will I think, connect with what you've just described, because, I think we've all been in the same boat this year. Looking ahead, like, I know a lot of talent, you just like listed off a ton of names and a ton of studs, frankly, that have exited the organization. My favorite player's been moved, and that's Jazz Chisholm Jr. Still following him closely, and we're going to talk about Jazz a bit later. But who's your favorite player now? When the Marlins are on, who's your new guy or cluster of guys that you kind of look to like on a day-to-day basis at this point?
Well, ever since Jake Berger was traded last year, I've been a huge fan of his. So I want to tune in to watch him, see if he'll hit another homer. He'll produce for the team. He's kind of become the leader of the clubhouse, you can say, since he's really one of the last people of the whole year from last year. I also some of the new acquisitions we got. I really like Colin Ori. I think that guy's going to be a stud. Xavier Edwards, of course, is fantastic. I think I think now that pitchers are starting to come on to him, now it's his turn to make an adjustment. So we'll see how he does on that end. And then I still like Kyle Stowers. I know, like, he's kind of been up and down, mostly down, but at the same time, I feel like he's got so much potential there. And if he could just put it all together, he could be at minimum an everyday starter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's too early to judge Kyle Stowers for certain. And I think what you called out there on Colin Ori, I think, is like super interesting, and was kind of where my head was at with him specifically, where, you get a guy that comes up, that breaks for a bit, sets it alight, and next thing is, okay, pitchers start to get the body of data. Let's say I've translated that into American because it's data here in Britain, but nevertheless, they get this body of data, which then helps them to understand, okay, where's the holes in this Colin Ori swing. And so, as always, you get like the spike, which is what we saw with Otto Lopez early in the year too, right? He came in, absolutely lit it up, and then went super cold for a while, and then readjusted backwards. And this is it. Like, it's not a linear, just, in that pathway. There's always ups and downs, but I'm with you on Colin Ori. He's definitely shown some stuff. And, if Skip Schumacher for me gives someone the seal of approval, then that's enough for me. I'm like, if Skip says, this guy's a stud, then I'm all in as well. What about in the minor leagues then as well? Obviously, the farm's kind of been juiced with all these moves. What kind of prospects as well are you tracking more closely, if any? I'm not a prospect guy. I don't live and breathe it day to day, but I don't know if you had a favorite or two you were following along at this point.
So I've been a fan of Joe Mack since he got drafted in 2021. So I've kind of been following his pro career since then, and he's really been able to take a big leap this year as far as his hitting is concerned. He still needs to lower the strikeout rate a bit, but I think if he can lower that, I think he can be a potential guy that can be a catcher on the team within the next year or so. I don't think he'll be one of the catchers that come out in spring training. I think probably Augustin Ramirez, one of the guys we got in the Jazz trade, will probably get a shot before then. But I do think that he has the potential to, I think he'll probably be starting in AAA next year.
I'm with you. I think we see Mack attack in 25 at some point. Probably not opening day. And I mean, a lot can change clearly between now and opening day, but let's assume Nick Fortes is still around. Let's assume Augustin Ramirez has an opportunity and maybe one or two others. I think Joe Mack's going to be that guy that's there, a AAA rate of rock and roll, should, if anything, happen. And as we've seen in baseball this year, like, injuries are definitely prevalent. And so I think we do see Joe Mack in 25. To your point, I think a lot of people were excited about him. We fell out of love a little bit with him. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone was in love with Jacob Berry. He's on the rundown and he hit a home run yesterday.
Right.
But, Joe Mack, definitely, it's been super encouraging to see him take the next step forward this season, and then the pressure is back to him. A bit like Colin, like adjustments continually happen. Can Joe Mack keep this up, and can he get to the show? I think sounds like you think he can.
Yeah, and I also think it has a lot to do with who Bendix has brought in for our minor league system to help people develop. I feel like for the last few years, even though Kim Ng did a really solid job with the major league club, the minor leagues was always lacking as far as development goes. And so now that Bendix has brought in his guys, and they're able to develop, and there's like a ton more people in the minor league system for development now. I feel like now players are able to use all the resources and then improve. And I think now that we're starting to see that improvement this year, not as much from some of the guys that we really want to see, like Barry, but he has shown signs of improvement. So as long as he keeps improving on that trajectory, we'll see how it goes with him.
No doubt.
And then even with some of the new prospects we've acquired, like De Los Santos, like he's constantly been raking in AAA, and even some of the other acquisitions that we got, like Ramirez has done well. Sanoja just got called up, and he did well in the minors, and even Jacob Cerna has been raking in AA. So we got quite a bit of more position players now than we did in the past, like the past couple of years. So it's very interesting to see. Not to mention all the starting pitching prospects we have with Thomas White and Noble Meyer and everything like that. So I think we're going to be in a pretty good situation come next year as far as prospect goes and depth.
Are you a Bendix believer now at this point?
I am leaning more towards believer. I am not. I can't say I'm like full gung ho. I'm a believer guy, but I will say I'm recognizing it, but it's still going to take a little more convincing. I am I guess you could say, undecided independent. That's the point.
Well phrased. We're going to hit the first ad, but then when we come back, I'll let you dwell on this, Nick, while the first ad goes on. We're looking for the big scouting report from you on Michael Petersen and Jeff Lindgren. So I'm looking forward to that one, baby. But before we do that, let's let you know about our good friends over at PrizePicks. And guys, PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. And it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. No sharks. No need to worry about them sharks. All you do is pick more or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in, baby, including up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Yes, you heard that correctly. As little as 4 correct picks, and you could 100 times up your dough. No doubt about it. So what have you got to do? Simply download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. Welcome back to Locked On Marlins with me, Peter Pratt, and Nick Alvarez joining us from the vehicle. I mean, I love this. the roaming reporter. Love to see it. Big news, though, in advance of today's game. 2 roster moves for the Marlins. Michael Petersen has been called up. Jeff Lindgren also called up. Both of these guys have the potential to be lucky number 70, I guess, for the Fish this year. When you think about what is the moves to get them up, unfortunately, John McMillan, on the face of it, looks to be an absolute stud of a reliever, hits the 15-day IL with right elbow tightness, as expected, exited the game after 2 pitches. Velo way down, did not look good. And then also from the same game, Jonathan Bermudez has been DFA'd. So the Bendix ball, roster churn continues. Bermudez DFA'd, McMillan to the IL, but 2 guys up. Nick, I'm assuming that you're going to struggle to give me the full-blown rundown on Michael Petersen and what he can bring, other than the fact, as we've already highlighted, he is British. So apart from that, what do we know, if anything?
I know he's a pitcher.
There we go.
That's about it.
We're winning, baby.
At this point, it's we're doing the shuffle as far as all the pitchers are concerned, and even some position guys. So it's one of those things where it's kind of hard to keep track of people, and all of a sudden you see these names being called up, and you're like, "Who are these guys? I've never even heard of them," you know. And sometimes they come out and they play, and then you're like, "Wow, this guy's actually not bad." And then sometimes you come out and they play, and you're like, "Wow, this guy shouldn't even be in the majors," kind of thing. So
there's been a few
it's yes. So it's just kind of like I said, a shuffle of players, and he's just trying to see what he's got. I think Bendix is as well, especially with some injuries kind of falling on the Marlins. But most overall, I can't really take all the transactions, like in a bad way, because like I said, he's just trying to see what he has. But yeah, I mean, if they were somehow competing and they had all these transactions, then I would be like, wow, this guy really knows what he's doing, But since it's his first year and he's pretty much having to rebuild everything from the ground up, I'm just, I'm not even worried about it.
Just take some shots.
Yeah, exactly. See what you got. Maybe you hit a diamond in the rough, just because maybe you want a guy in an organization didn't get, his shot to play in the bigs, maybe you give him his shot here and all of a sudden he becomes really good, So it just all depends. So I like that he's doing it, but at the same time, I wish he wasn't having to do it.
Yeah, I've got you. I think, this is the perfect time to do this, where effectively if there's a guy available that has a fringe MLB level talent, pick him up, throw him in and see what's cooking. If nothing's cooking, nothing lost. But this is the time. If you find just one stud, and I'm calling it out right now, Michael Petersen could be that stud. And I threw this, I was kind of half joking about giving the rundown, but just to call out, by the way, in AAA this year, within the Dodgers system, Michael Petersen, British-born, in case you missed that, he has thrown 33 innings and has a 1.64 ERA at AAA this year. He has a 0.76 whip. There could be something here. It might be nothing, but it could be something. I don't know. Nevertheless, the Marlins continue to move it. I would love it if a British guy made history for the Marlins tonight, and I think that probably will happen, in all honesty. Let's talk about a former Marlin who was in the news yesterday evening, Jazz Chisholm Jr., on of course, a big date in U.S. global history. Jazz, for the New York Yankees, ends up walking it off for them to win against the Royals. John Birdie was the guy that came home to score in that play as well. So you've got Jazz and Birdie, but kind of taking that away, just what have you made of Jazz Chisholm Jr. specifically, traded to the Yankees, and then basically has just been on fire for the Yankees?
So what I've liked from Bendix as far as his trades go and getting these prospects back, I've liked that he has made all of the former Marlins and he's traded them to teams that are competing for a playoff spot or are in a playoff spot. I like that he did that and he kind of took care of them in a way. With Jazz, I feel like this is probably one of the best spots for him because while with the Marlins, the spotlight was all on him. He was the guy. On the Yankees, he doesn't have to be the guy. Aaron Judge is the guy. Juan Soto is the guy. Garrett Cole is the guy. Like, those are the guys that everyone wants to see produce and play. Jazz, all he has to worry about now is going out there and contributing and playing just playing baseball, and he gets to be behind Soto and Judge, and even Austin Wells, their catcher for them, is having a really great rookie season. And I think, like I said, it's the best spot for him. And now he's also kind of learning a new position with third base. And, if he keeps doing well there, I don't see him there next season. I think he'll probably move to second. But who knows? Maybe they will just keep him at third. But I think that now all the pressure is off him, and now all the scouting reports are like, focus on Jazz Chisholm. It's now focus on Aaron Judge, focus on Juan Soto. Now he's going to be able to produce more because he's not the primary focus.
No doubt. I think it's the clear shift, right? Where it's a different situation when you are the guy and pretty much one of the only guys in a lineup to you're just one of the guys that can do damage. But actually, their primary focus becomes Judge, Soto, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think that's created a great environment for Jazz. And we've seen it. I think the one thing too, like the green light is constantly on when he's on the base. Like he gets on first base and it's like guaranteed he's going to go for a steal. And then when he gets second, it's probably 50-50. He's going to try and steal third as well. Like it's been really, the funny thing is the Yankees fans have really taken to him, not only because he's absolutely tearing it up, but they've struggled for speed on the bases. And I think having Jazz, a guy that can manufacture runs with his legs, the Yankees just haven't seen that because their guys, Stanton, Judge, Soto, clearly that isn't part of their makeup and their game. They're looking just to hit home runs to, generate runs, where Jazz completely different. Barely he walks, steals a couple of bags, there's an errand throw, and somehow he scored a run without even hitting the ball, which is
right.
the definition of manufacturing a run, right? So great landing spot for him. I thought it was a great moment just generally for New York and for the Yankees yesterday, for that to kind of walk it off and a big kind of drama game, etc. So it's been a really great start. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, sorry. Yeah, because they're playing the Royals, and the Royals are fighting for the division in the AL Central, and they're a very good team as well. With Bobby Witt Jr., who probably, if Aaron Judge wasn't having the season that he's having, would be the favorite to win the MVP. So they're a very good team, and of course the Yankees are one of the best teams in baseball. So hopefully with Jazz, as long as he could stay healthy and stay in the lineup, I think he will become a fan favorite.
Oh, no doubt. I think he already is, actually. So he's really, immersed himself into, Yankees fandom, let's say. So, good for him. Let's hit the final ads and then we'll come back. I want to talk about the series ahead. It's a 4-game series against the Nats, but equally I wanted to take like a bigger picture view of the NL East, kind of headed into 25 and 26, like kind of getting a sense of like, this division, it felt like a few years ago was like the brutal division. It feels like a few eyeballs have been taken off this division recently. So I'm interested to get your sense of like where we see the NL East headed into 25 and beyond here, with the Marlins like retooling, the Nats growing. So we'll cover that, as well as a few other little nuggets of interest here. Braxton Garrett with a rehab start yesterday looks on path to maybe return before the end of the season. Before we do that, let's let you know about our good friends over at TonaI. Yes, sir. And guys, TonaI is, if I can find the right script, for those of us who thrive on getting stuff done, including workouts, every minute counts. That's why you need TonaI, the smart strength training system that takes the guesswork out of working out, so you can make sure you're making the most of every single rep. TonaI is the world's smartest and most effective strength training system that helps get you stronger, powered by AI. TonaI learns with every rep, so it can deliver workouts personalized just for you. TonaI learns from your movement and provides suggested weight recommendations for every move with detailed progress reports. They even create personalized program and workout sessions or recommendations based on your individual goals. It's just like having a personal trainer at home with you, as TonaI will optimize every workout just for you. Unlike traditional gym equipment, TonaI uses adaptive digital weight to advance your training techniques. From professional athletes to the mom of 3, TonaI is trusted by thousands who have become their strongest. Right now, TonaI is offering our listeners $200 off your tonal purchase with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's tonal.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off your purchase. Reminder, it's tonal.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off. Welcome back to Locked On Marlins and me, Peter Pratt, and Nick Alvarez joining me from the car, which is what we love to see. And, listen, guys, it's only a few weeks left of me hosting this show, and I threw it out there on Twitter. I want all guests, former guests, everyone just ping me. Let me know if you want to come on the show in the next few weeks. Let me know. DMs are open. Nick, one of them guys we spoke 2 years ago. Well overdue. So great to see you again, Nick. Let's talk about the NL East here briefly. It's been a surprising year driven by the fact that the Bravos are having as bad an injury crisis as the Marlins. Somehow the Bravos are still like 12 games over 500. So that just shows how incredible they've been. But, the Phillies have kind of run away with it. The Bravos are hurt. The Mets, I think, have surprised. So it's been a bit of a funky year. We'll wait to see how it plays out. Could the Bravos miss the playoffs? I hope they do. We'll wait and see. But let's kind of fast forward to next year. We don't know how this year is going to play out, but how are you viewing this NL East at this point, like headed into 25? And, where do the Marlins fit in this kind of, top-heavy division, really?
Well, I think probably the Marlins will probably still be in the bottom half, but they will be more competitive. So we're not going to see, all these like 60, 70 transactions, I don't think. But we will see a lot of these prospects that, Bendix has gotten, and we could get more in the off season to really get a chance to, get their shot. And I think that will be good for them. The Braves, like you said, with their injury crisis that they've had pretty much all season, with Strider, being out after like his first start or two, he probably won't be back till the middle of next year. But Acuna will be back. Ozzy Albies will be back. And Matt Olson is having a down year. I don't see him having a back-to-back down years. So I think he's going to be, back to his old ways probably. Maybe not as good as 2023, but he'll still be very good. I think with the Mets, they're having great years from their top guys, which is fantastic. But another issue is that Pete Alonso is a free agent after this season. If they're able to re-sign him, then I say they'll still be competitive because, obviously also Francisco Lindor is having a great year. So I think he'll be able to, can keep that production up. And then Kodai Senga will be back next year, and I think he'll be, he's considered their ace, unless they are able to get another acquisition in the offseason. But I think they'll be competitive. They'll probably, I don't think they'll fight for the division because the Phillies, they still have that locked up with their core guys. But I do, unless they have like a crisis, like the Braves did. Anything is possible, but, on paper, it looks like, the Phillies will be at the top of the division until, maybe the Braves will dethrone them next year if they can stay healthy. But I would say probably that the Phillies are going to be at the top. Braves too. Mets fighting for getting third. I say the Nationals will improve as well. So maybe they'll be, fighting with the Mets for maybe a potential wild card spot, and then we will improve, but we still won't be on those tier of those teams.
Yep. In 2025 for the Marlins, I'm going to throw it out there. The over/under on the transaction count is 59.5. Are you hitting the over or are you hitting the under in 2025?
I'm gonna go under.
That's my line, by the way. I mean, that's not from FanDuel or anywhere. That's the big Pratt line.
No. I think it'll probably be like maybe 50 at the most, but I think it'll definitely be under. I think most of the transactions won't be due to injuries. It'll probably be just due to like, you know, trades, or maybe we'll get like some free agents on like a 1 year flyer, and if
Yeah.
they perform well, maybe we'll deal them at the deadline for some prospects, kind of thing. But um, I think we'll be in a lot better shape as far as transactions go. We won't be having to, find out a brand new player every like 2 or 3 days.
It has been like that, no doubt. We're running just about on time. Just wanted to highlight as well, Braxton Garrett had a rehab start yesterday as well. 59 pitches for Brax. He looks to be on schedule to maybe make a start at the back end of this season, just to kind of, go into the offseason strong. So,
Hmm.
I think with Braxton Garrett, I'm just interested to get your take, where in 23, he was immense, I would say. And
Yes.
he was probably a little bit undervalued and a little bit, because Lazada was on fire too, and Yuri was flashing, and Sandy was still around for the main. And so Brax was kind of just like steady and dependable. But it's funny, right? You don't see Brax most of this year, and you suddenly start to realize how important he was and how important he could be, I think, for this rotation. I think that's the thing. You don't know what you've got until it's gone. I think with Braxy in particular this year, like it's kind of highlighted to me just how much of a big part he is in this rotation, Braxton Garrett. And I'm glad to see him on the way back, and I think he's going to be a big part of the rotation next year. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I was one of the people last year when when they were considering him just to be a reliever or a long reliever. I was saying no, he's probably going to sneak into like that fourth or fifth spot. And lo and behold, he did, and he performed really well, and he was dependable down the stretch,
Yeah.
and he's never going to be a guy who's going to like overpower you with 95 plus. He's going to focus on his control and his command. So if he has that consistently for every start, then he's going to be probably, I would say, a top three starter for next season.
Yeah, for sure. All right, one final one, and then we'll get out of here. And it's, get the crystal ball out. Let's look ahead. In which year do the Marlins next make the postseason, in your opinion?
Hmm. I'll go with 2026.
Oh, baby, that's a quick turnaround. I love to see it. Is Sandy still here in 26?
I'll say yes.
Okay, and is a big part of that 2026 playoff push.
Yes, I will say
Okay,
yes, and I think he's gonna have a bounce back season next year when he comes back, because he's already wanting to pitch now, which
yeah.
obviously the team is saying no, you can't. But I think he'll have a bounce back season where he's fighting for the Cy Young again.
Big call. I like it. I like the 2020. I mean, 2026 is an aggressive timeline, but I must say the moves that Bendix made at the deadline in particular have definitely made you interested, I would say, for 26, or whether that possibility could happen.
Right. I feel like Bendix, he's not like he doesn't like he understands the long game, but as far as the major league club goes, he doesn't want the long game for the major league club. I feel like he knows the fans are starving for a winner,
Yeah.
and if we could just have a competitive team every year, then I think he'll be able to give Marlins fans a team that they can look at and be proud of.
There we go. I think that's all we want. As Marlins fans, that's all we want is a major league product that's competitive. It doesn't have to be 20 games over. It's just in and around 500 is good enough for me, frankly. And so that's what I'm looking for from Bendix for next year. The season was cooked after the first 10 days this time around, and they made the
Yeah.
moves. Let's see what
Hmm.
25 looks like. If the rotation's healthy, this team will be in the mix, which I'm looking forward to. Nick, we're bang out of time, but great to have you back on the show. I really appreciate you hopping on in the car, and I must say, considering you are probably 4,500 miles away from me geographically right now, I'm not 100%
Yes,
sure on
sir.
that, but let's assume that the Wi-Fi signal has been incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know what mobile operator you're using, but I mean, if there's a promo code for that, I'd recommend everyone uses it right now because it has been incredible.
Well, I'm on T-Mobile, so
There you
T-Mobile's
go.
been very good to me.
There you go. Love it. Guys, thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. Back tomorrow, of course. It is a Friday. And Eli Sussman joins the show tomorrow. We continue the array of guests in the Pete Pratt wind down towards retirement here on Locked On. And we'll look forward to seeing you along with Eli Sussman on tomorrow's show. See you then.